Police chief arrests a drug dealer. Then discovered it was his own son. What happened next shocked everyone. The night air in East Baltimore felt heavy, carrying the smell of fried chicken from the corner store and the faint sound of sirens in the distance. Jamal leaned against the crumbling brick wall, his hands trembling as he passed a small baggie to the girl in front of him. She didn't look like she belonged there. Her blonde hair, her clean hoodie, the way she kept glancing over her shoulder, she screamed outsider. "You sure you want this?" Jamal asked, his voice low, rough. "Yeah," she whispered, her voice shaky but stubborn. I just need it, okay?" Jamal sighed, handing her the bag. For a moment, guilt flickered in his chest. This could be my sister in a few years if things don't change, he thought. But the image of his mother coughing on that thin mattress back home pushed the guilt away. He needed the money. He had no choice. The flashing red and blue lights came out of nowhere. "Freeze! Hands where I can see, M." Jamal's heart dropped into his stomach. He spun around, squinting into the blinding headlights of the unmarked car. The girl screamed, dropping the bag as two officers grabbed her. Jamal froze, his chest pounding, as another officer pushed him against the wall and cuffed his wrists. "Damn it," Jamal whispered, more to himself than anyone else. Hours later, the raid on his house shook the quiet night. His little sister, Maya, woke up crying as men in dark uniforms stormed through the door. His mother, Evelyn, weak and coughing, tried to shield her daughter. "Please," she begged, her voice hoarse, "he's just a boy." He didn't mean. "Ma'am, step aside." The commanding voice silenced the room. Evelyn looked up, and froze. Her breath caught in her throat. Standing there in the doorway, his badge gleaming, was Chief Michael Carter. Her heart dropped. "Michael," she whispered, disbelief flooding her eyes. The chief's hand, firm just moments ago, suddenly shook. His eyes locked on her face, older now, tired, but unmistakable. His chest tightened. "Evelyn?" His voice cracked. He hadn't said her name in over 20 years. And then his gaze shifted, past her, to the boy being dragged inside in cuffs. "Jamal." The chief's face turned pale. His heart thundered. The sharp jawline. The same eyes. The same stubbornness. No, it can't be. But deep down, Michael knew. That boy was his son. His officers kept talking, reading rights, bagging evidence, but Michael didn't hear a thing. He stood frozen, his world splitting in half. On one side, the law. His badge. His oath. On the other, the boy who carried his blood. "Chief," one of his men asked. "You want us to process the kid?" Michael swallowed hard, his throat dry, eyes locked on Jamal, who glared at him with pure hate and confusion. In that look, Michael saw everything, his own absence, the years he wasn't there, the boy's pain, his choices. And for the first time in his career, Chief Carter didn't know what the right thing to do was. The living room was crowded with uniforms, the crackle of radios, and the sound of boots on the worn wooden floor. Evelyn sat hunched on the couch, clutching Maya to her chest. Jamal was forced down into a chair, his hands still cuffed behind him. Michael stood in the doorway like a ghost. His badge shone, but his face had gone pale, as if the past had just reached out and ripped him open. Jamal looked up, his voice full of defiance. "What? You gonna lock me up and feel good about it?" "Go ahead, Chief." His words spit like venom. "That's what y'all do anyway." "Boy, watch your mouth," one officer barked. But Michael raised his hand, silencing him. His eyes never left Jamal's. "What's your name, son?" Jamal scoffed, leaning back in the chair. "Don't play with me. You already know my name." Evelyn's breath hitched. She looked at Michael with a mix of fear and shame. "Michael, don't." Michael turned toward her slowly, his voice trembling. "How long?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Since the day you left." The room suddenly felt too small, the walls pressing in. Michael's mind raced. He remembered Evelyn's laugh, the summer nights they'd spent on the hood of his car staring at the stars, the promises he made and broke. And now, here was the boy, his boy, caught up in the very world he swore he'd clean off the streets. Michael's chest heaved as guilt and anger battled inside him. "Chief, we got the evidence bagged," another officer interrupted, holding up the plastic with Jamal's stash. "Orders." The word sliced through him. Orders. He'd given orders his entire career, but never had one felt this heavy. He looked at Jamal again, his jaw tight, his eyes cold. A son who didn't even know he had a father standing in front of him. Michael's lips parted, but no words came out. For the first time in decades, he was speechless. Evelyn spoke instead, her voice breaking. "Michael, don't do this to him. Please." Jamal twisted in his chair, glaring at her. "Why you beggin' him, Ma? He don't care. None of them do." His voice cracked as he turned his face away, hiding the tears burning at the edge of his eyes. Michael's heart shattered at those words. He doesn't even know? The silence grew unbearable, broken only by the scratch of pens as officers filled out reports. And then, one of them asked the question that would decide everything. "Chief, you want us to book him tonight or hold him for questioning?" Michael's hand clenched into a fist. He stared at Jamal, then at Evelyn, then at the badge pinned to his chest. Law or blood? Justice or forgiveness? And Michael Carter realized that whatever choice he made tonight would destroy a part of him forever. Michael's chest felt like it was caving in. His badge was burning hot on his chest, but for once it didn't feel like honor, it felt like a curse. "Clear the room," he said suddenly, his voice low but commanding. The officers paused, glancing at each other. One spoke, hesitant. "Sir, protocol says." "I said clear the room." Michael's voice thundered, sharper than anyone had heard in years. The men exchanged nervous looks but obeyed, filing out with bags of evidence, leaving only the hum of the overhead light. Evelyn still clutched Maya tightly, her eyes wide with worry. Michael stepped closer to Jamal. The boy shifted uncomfortably in the chair, trying to hide his fear behind anger. "You got something to say to me, old man?" Jamal spat, chin raised. "Go on. Say it." Michael's jaw tightened. His voice shook. "You don't even know who you're talking to." Jamal laughed bitterly. "I know exactly who you are. Just another cop who wants to make an example out of me. Lock me up, throw away the key. That's all y'all good for." Evelyn's voice cracked from across the room. "Jamal, stop." But Jamal wouldn't. His pain was boiling over, years of struggle spilling out. "You think I wanted this life? You think I wake up every morning dreamin' about sellin' poison? I do this 'cause I got no choice. 'Cause my mom's sick, 'cause my lil' sister gotta eat. And what the hell you ever do for us, huh?" The words hit Michael like bullets. His throat closed up. He looked at Evelyn, then back at Jamal. His lips trembled. "You don't understand," Michael whispered. "Then make me understand." Jamal shouted, slamming his cuffed fists on the table. His eyes glistened with unshed tears. Michael stared at him, at his son, and for the first time in years, the chief of police didn't feel powerful at all. He felt like a man who had failed. Slowly, he reached into his pocket and pulled out the keys to the cuffs. His hands shook as he held them, the weight of the decision pressing on his soul. Evelyn gasped softly. "Michael." Michael's voice was raw, almost broken. "Son? I wasn't there. And maybe that's why you're here now. Maybe this is my fault." Jamal froze, confusion flashing across his face. "What the hell you mean, your fault?" Michael's eyes burned, the truth pushing against his lips. For years he had buried it, but standing here, with the boy who carried his eyes, his blood, there was no more hiding. He took a shaky breath. "Because, Jamal? I'm your father." The room went silent. Evelyn covered her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. Jamal blinked, stunned, then let out a harsh laugh, bitter and trembling. Nah, you lyin'. My father left. My father ain't never comin' back." Michael's voice cracked. "I did leave. And I've regretted it every damn day since." Jamal shook his head, fighting the storm inside him. "Man, shut up. Don't you dare come in here wearin' that badge, after all these years, and act like you give a damn about me now." His words were sharp, but his voice cracked at the end, the little boy inside him still desperate for answers. Michael took one step closer, his hand trembling over the cuffs. His heart was breaking in his chest. "Son," he whispered, "please, just let me try." Jamal's body stiffened like he'd been slapped. His chest rose and fell, faster, harder, his fists clenched tight against the cuffs. "Don't call me that," he snapped, his voice trembling with rage. "Don't you ever call me that." Michael flinched. "Jamal." "No." Jamal jerked forward, eyes burning. "Where the hell were you when Ma was breaking her back tryin' to raise us? When I was out here starvin', watchin' her get sicker every damn day? When Maya cried, 'cause her stomach hurt from bein' empty? Where were you?" His voice broke into a scream. "Where were you?" The silence that followed was deafening. Evelyn sobbed softly, her hand pressed to her mouth as if to hold back years of pain. Maya clung tighter to her, eyes wide, sensing everything without fully understanding. Michael's head dropped. His badge, his title, his authority, none of it mattered now. He was just a man drowning in guilt. "I was a coward," he whispered. "I ran. I thought I was protectin' you, but I was just protectin' myself. And I've hated myself for it every day." Jamal laughed bitterly, but it wasn't joy, it was pain breaking loose. "Man, that's supposed to make me feel better? You show up 2 decades later, wearin' that uniform, and think you can just claim me." His voice cracked. "Nah. You ain't no father. You just a stranger." Michael's hands shook as he tried to hold back tears. He wanted to reach out, to touch his son's shoulder, but Jamal pulled away violently, the chair scraping against the floor. Evelyn's voice suddenly cut through the storm, raw and trembling. "Stop it, Jamal." Both men turned toward her. She was standing now, her frail body trembling, but her eyes burned with the fire of a mother who'd carried too much for too long. "You think I ain't angry too," she said, her voice rising. "You think I don't hate him some nights for leaving me to do this alone? But I also know what it cost me, what it cost you." She looked at Jamal, tears streaming down her face. "I watched you grow up too fast. I watched you carry burdens no boy should carry. And I prayed every night that somehow, you wouldn't turn out like this." Jamal's jaw clenched, his face wet with tears he didn't bother to hide anymore. "So what, Ma? You want me to just forgive him? Just let him walk in and pretend he's been here all along?" Evelyn's voice softened, breaking. "No, baby. I just want you to see, he's still here. And maybe, for once, he's trying to." Michael's throat tightened. His voice came out hoarse. "She's right. I can't change the past, Jamal. But I can fight for your future, if you'll let me." The words hung heavy in the room, pressing on Jamal like a weight he couldn't shake. His chest heaved, his mind spinning. He wanted to hate this man, to reject him, to spit on everything he stood for. But somewhere deep inside, in a place he buried long ago, a little boy was still waiting for his father to come back. Jamal's chest was heaving, his breath sharp and uneven. He wanted to stay hard, to keep that wall up, but the cracks were showing. His voice was hoarse now, almost a whisper. "You don't know what it's like, growing up without no father. Watching everybody else get picked up from school, getting advice, hearing somebody tell 'em they proud. You don't know what that does to a kid." His voice trailed off as the tears finally slipped free, hot and angry. "I hated you, but I still wanted you." Michael's heart broke clean in two. He reached out again, slower this time, his hand hovering over Jamal's shoulder. "I know, son. I know I failed you. But let me make it right now. Please." Before Jamal could answer, the door creaked open. "Chief," an officer stepped halfway inside, holding a clipboard. "Everything all right in here?" His eyes darted between Jamal's tears and Michael's trembling hand on the cuff key. Suspicion clouded his face. Michael stiffened, his badge suddenly feeling heavier than ever. "Give us a minute." "Sir," the officer hesitated, lowering his voice. "The DA's already expectin' us to bring the kid in tonight. We've got the evidence bagged. Procedure says." "I said give us a minute." Michael snapped, his voice sharp enough to slice through stone. The officer blinked, swallowed hard, then stepped back out, the door clicking shut. But Michael knew, time was running out. They wouldn't wait forever. Evelyn sat back down, rocking Maya, her eyes darting between the two men in her living room, one broken by the past, the other shackled by choices. "Michael," she whispered, her voice trembling, "they're not gonna let this go. You know that. You can't just hide him." Michael ran a hand down his face, torn apart inside. "If I turn him in, it could ruin his life. But if I let him go, I'll be the one breaking the law I swore to uphold." Jamal looked up, his voice bitter again, though softer now. "Ain't that funny? The cop finally gets to feel what we feel every day, trapped." Michael's hand shook as he finally slid the cuff key into the lock. He paused, eyes burning, his soul screaming with conflict. Law or blood? Duty or redemption? He turned his head slowly, locking eyes with Jamal. "Son, you tell me. Do I let you walk out that door, or do I take you in?" Jamal stared at him, stunned. No one had ever handed him power like that before. His lips parted, but no words came. And in that heavy silence, footsteps echoed in the hall. The other officers were coming back. Michael knew, whatever happened next, there'd be no turning back. The footsteps grew louder. Voices carried through the thin hallway. The officers were seconds away from stepping back inside. Michael's hand trembled on the cuff key, sweat beading on his brow. Jamal's eyes locked on his, searching, torn between rage and the strange, aching pull of hope. "Son," Michael whispered, desperation lacing his voice, "I can't undo the years I wasn't there. But I can make this choice right now. For you. For us." Evelyn clutched Maya tighter, her tears streaming freely. "Michael, please. Don't let him go down like this. Don't let the world swallow him whole." Jamal swallowed hard, his chest heaving. For the first time, his anger cracked into something softer, fear, maybe even longing. He whispered, almost to himself, "Why you even care now?" Michael leaned in close, his voice breaking. "Because you're my son. And I won't lose you again." The doorknob rattled. "Chief, we're comin' back in." The cuffs clicked. The metal fell away from Jamal's wrists. He stared down at his freed hands, stunned, his whole body shaking. Michael stood, pulling himself tall, his badge gleaming under the harsh light. He turned toward the door just as it swung open and the officers stepped inside. Their eyes went wide at the sight. "Chief, what the hell are you doing?" Michael didn't flinch. His voice was steady now, stronger than it had been all night. "He's not just another case," he said. "He's my son." The room went silent. Shock rippled through the officers. One of them spoke, disbelief in his tone. "Sir, if you do this, you're throwing your whole career away." Michael looked back at Jamal, then at Evelyn, then down at little Maya clinging to her mother's dress. He drew a long, shuddering breath. Then so be it. For the first time in years, Michael Carter felt free. The officers exchanged uneasy glances, caught between loyalty to their chief and duty to the law. But Michael stood firm, his hand resting protectively on Jamal's shoulder. And Jamal, though his eyes still burned with anger, though his heart still carried scars, didn't pull away this time. Somewhere in that broken living room, between law and blood, between the past and the future, something fragile was born. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But a chance.